today I'm going to talk about free online academic writing tools. My name is Dr. Iman Nafjan, and I work at the COSHIP in Riyadh. Currently, I teach the 213 reading course. But in general, I love helping students with writing. So I bet when you signed up for this class or you came online for this class, you thought to yourself, wow, maybe I could find some easy way to, write. Okay, and I'm sorry to disappoint you, but there is no such thing as an easy way to write. If I'm cutting up, please let me know, okay?
Okay, carry on.
Okay, no problem.
All right. So, one of the things that I find students looking for, searching desperately for, is are websites that write for them. Something that's very common, especially among first-year students. They try to find websites that paraphrase for them. Sometimes I have students who actually go and write in Arabic and then use Google Translate. So I have all these different strategies that people do instead of just sitting down and writing, and working on the writing itself. So I just want to let you know that writing is never going to be easy. It's never been easy for anyone, ever. It doesn't matter if you're a native speaker, non-native speaker, writing. Do you write in Arabic easily? I don't think so. I mean, yes. You do write in Arabic easily? Can you write an essay in Arabic? Does it come naturally to you? Do you just sit down and in half an hour you have a perfect essay? Or do you have to look at sources and references and look at your language, maybe even give it to someone to look at? Huh?
Yeah, no, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's never easy. Writing is never easy. Yes, you do have that extra layer of not speaking the language as your first language, but writing in general is never easy. It doesn't come naturally to human beings. We didn't start writing until relatively recently. People just don't generally write. Who wrote 600, 700 years ago? Very few people wrote, and even before then, even before 7, 8 centuries ago, writing was even more rare. It does not come naturally to people. Okay. So basically what we're going to do today is I'm going to tell you why it's important to write in the first place. Okay. And then we're going to talk about something that you need to understand before I show you the tools, because you need to understand the underlying concept of these tools. And then I'll show you the tools. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is why it's important to write. And I'm just going to let John Mather tell you. John Mather, he's a Nobel, he got the Nobel Prize in Physics, okay? He's published tons of scientific papers. He's, at the leading edge of academic writing, and this is why he writes.
Well, I think that's a very great challenge. It is sort of the essence of the challenge of life, isn't it? How do you explain to the world why it is that what you want is the thing that we all should want? So if you were to ask me how should a principal investigator prepare for life, I'd say, number one, read and write. Study reading and writing and communication, because that's the essence of how we get to do what we want to do. We might think that science and engineering are the essence. Well, they're pretty important, but if you can't convince anybody that what you want to do is the right thing, then you're not going to get to do it. So
you can see from what he's telling, what he just said, that the essence is to be able to read and write. Forget that you're in medicine. We have so many brilliant doctors in Saudi Arabia. They cannot get their ideas across the global stage because they have problems in reading and writing, because they do not prioritize reading and writing. And here we have this astrophysicist, and he says that he prioritizes reading and writing more than science. Did you hear that?
Yes, we heard that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's very important that you read and write. It's more important than medicine itself. If you really want your ideas to get across, if you really want to be able to communicate with fellow doctors all over the world. Okay. The second thing that you need to understand is that what you do in language, one of the things that some students expect is that you have a manual for writing, that you just show them something or give them a set of rules and tell them, okay, these are the rules that you need to follow. If you do this, do that, and then you will get perfect writing. That is not the case. Language is very dynamic. It's very human. There's no such thing as rules that encompass everything that you could possibly do with language. Every single paper, every single sentence is different from the other. How can you get that level of individuality when you have a specific set of prescriptive rules? You would not be able to. So here I want to show you what Steven Pinker says. Steven Pinker, he's a linguist, very famous linguist, cognitive psychologist and linguist, and he talks about this. He talks about how people expect this prescription. They expect someone to say, okay, so do this and that, and then you will at the end get something. When it isn't the case.
I think we need a more sophisticated way of thinking about usage. So what are rules of usage? Where do they come from? They're certainly not logical truths that you could prove in the propositional calculus, and nor are they officially regulated by dictionaries. And I can speak with some authority here because I am the chair of the usage panel, the American Heritage Dictionary. And when I joined the panel, I asked the editor-in-chief, so how do you guys decide what to put in the dictionary? And his answer was, we pay attention to the way people use words. That is, when it comes to correctness, there's no one in charge. The lunatics are running the asylum. So a way to make sense of rules of usage is that they are tacit evolving conventions. A convention is a way of doing things that has no particular advantages other than the fact that everyone else is doing it. Paper currency is an example. A piece of paper with a picture of the Queen has no inherent value other than the fact that everyone expects everyone else to treat it as having value. There's no particular reason to...
Okay, so language is basically tacit conventions, things that everybody agrees sounds okay. Things that everybody says, yeah, that's how you say it. It's the same way in Arabic. You know that this is the way people write when they are addressing a specific demographic. So you would write a certain way to address children, and you would write a different way to address, let's say, Twitter, or you would write another different way to write an email to the college administration, right? So how do you know that? How do you know that that's the way to write? Did you find rules? And I'm talking about Arabic. Is there a book of rules that you're following?
No, I guess.
No.
Of course not.
No, really.
Right? It is the same thing exactly when you're writing academic English. There are certain books that are supposed to be helpful, and that's true, but none of them really can tell you. They can be wrong, and many of them are wrong, and most importantly, many of them are outdated. Because when you look at what's being published today and you compare it in a journal and you compare it to something that was published in 20 years ago, let's say, you will find that there are differences in the way people write. And that's why sometimes when you look at something that's, when you try to submit, maybe it's a little bit early for you guys, but when you try to submit to a journal, sometimes it comes back to you and they say, you don't have any grammar mistakes, but it's non-idiomatic because you're not speaking their language. It's off. So how do we fix that? How do we fix that? This is what I'm going to show you. I am going to show you a whole bunch of things that you can use that can help you see what is acceptable in academic English. What phrases can you use? So the first one is the academic phrase bank. I think that the academic phrase bank is pretty common. Do you all know it? Have you seen this before?
Oh.
No, it's my first time.
No.
Okay. I have writing students like in conclusion, right? Okay, they have these fixed phrases. They want to give an example. It's always for example. It gets very boring and extremely student-like. When you go to the academic phrase bank, this is a bank based on the conventions that Steven Pinker was talking about. What they did is they gathered all these academic journals and books and textbooks and all of these things, and they kind of went through them using technology, of course, and got the most the words that co-occur the most together. So let's say you're going to write a conclusion. So you go to the academic phrase bank, and you want to write a conclusion. How do you want to write the conclusion? Do you want to restate the aim of the study? So here are phrases instead of in conclusion. This study set out, this paper has argued, so on and so forth. So these are common ways that people in academia restate the aims of the study when they're writing a conclusion. You want to summarize your main research findings. Here are some phrases to do that. And of course, you have the X, Y, and Z to stand for your ideas, okay? Or for what you're presenting, your results, your theory, whatever it is. Okay, so the investigation of let's say a pediatric drug or whatever has shown that, so on and so forth. You want to suggest implications. You want to say, well, my study shows that we should do or we should avoid something. So here you have a whole bunch of sentences that have been used, but it is not plagiarism because you do not take the content. All the content has been taken away. These are sentences, not sentences, they're formulas that are used a lot in modern academic writing in order to suggest implications in a conclusion. Do you understand? If you have any questions, please stop me and ask, okay? Okay, so you want to make recommendations, same thing, you want to, so on and so forth. Every single one that you look at, here you have further work, further studies, further work, and here because all of these phrases have further research in common. So they put it on its own, and then you have the completion. All right, giving examples. So instead of saying, for example as the main information. So if in your sentence, the whole point of the sentence is the example, here you have sentences to do that. If you want to tack it on to the sentence, then you have these examples, okay? And then you have these to report cases as support. So as a supporting idea within your paragraph. You also have signaling transitions instead of moreover. In addition, you have all of these. So if you want to move from one section to another, you want to introduce a topic, you want to reintroduce a topic. Okay, so it's a pretty good resource, and you have all of these tabs on the side and on the top have the same thing. So you would, if you want to introduce your work, you want to refer to sources, you want to describe methods, report results, discuss findings. You have all of these little phrases that you can use and incorporate into your writing to ensure that it sounds idiomatic, it sounds academic, and so on and so forth, and you avoid repetition. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes. So then I want to talk to you about the academic collocation list. The academic collocation list, sometimes you have an academic word in your head. In this case, the academic phrase bank is not going to help you because you don't have a certain rhetorical device that you want to do. It's not an action that you want to do. It's not that you want to conclude. No, you have a specific word. Sometimes there's something that you want to use, and you don't know what are the most common words that you can use with it. How do you use that word? What's the preposition to use with that word? What is the verb that's commonly used with that word? If it's a verb, what is the most common noun to use with that word? So on and so forth, okay? So here it's alphabetical. So if you want to say, let's say, accept, here are the most common uses of accept in academic English. Okay, you want to use the word achieve, same thing, and you even get things like act, and you go on down the list. It's alphabetical. It has the top most common words used in academia. So correlate. This is a word that you're going to use often because you're in the scientific field. So how would you use it? And here you have all of these words that let you know how it's used. And especially with things like prepositions, these are common mistakes that a lot of my students make. They write positively correlated. They'd have no problem with writing the correct adverb or adjective. It's the preposition that's usually the problem. Here, this helps you with that. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
And as you can see, the list is really long. If you would like, you could also have, there's a whole bunch of other resources on this website, okay, that you can use. And then we have Scalp. Scalp is part of Sketch Engine, and it's a huge corpus. A corpus is a database. It is a database of language. They take a whole bunch of text. I'm talking about not millions of words. I'm talking about billions of words. They take them and then they mine them for language. So if you have any word in mind, let's say acute. Okay. So if I put in acute, what do I get? I get, this is for learners of language. So simplified sentences. These are simplified sentences that show you how acute is used. First of all, you'd get the examples here at the top. These are the bars. You would get how common this word is. So it's 14, occurs 14 times per million words. If you click on the sketch, the mic open, turned on. Thank you. Okay, so you have acute, and you will notice up here at the bar that you have acute as an adjective and the option to switch to acute as a noun. Also, you have context. Okay, so if you look here, you can see these words are not acute. They are the words that happen to commonly fall next to acute. Okay, words with property acute, hearing, problem, situation. What are words that modify acute? What are words that are nouns that are modified by the adjective acute? What are the verbs that go with acute? And acute occurs with what? Now, this isn't very clear. However, if I turn the context on, I'll be able to see how it occurs with acute. So hearing is so acute. Problem is particularly acute. Situation. So these are the words that occur with acute. The modifiers, you'll notice modifiers, they tend to occur right before. You'll see that the phrase as acute as is common. Then you have which nouns co-occur with acute. And you will notice that acute tends to be what? In engineering? In art?
In medical.
In medicine.
You see here,
No.
now I'm comfortable using it because you can see here that it occurs in medicine the most. Okay, and then you have which verbs that you're going to use. And if you want to use a word and. Now, if you click on any of these boxes, you will get some example sentences of that word occurring that way. So if I click here, I should get it. So while we wait, I just want to point out that this is simplified. This is for learners of language. So this is Sketch Engine for learners of language. If you could also open this on your computers and explore it, I think it'll be very helpful. Let's see if I can get some more words open at least. Okay, so here you have words that are similar to acute. So you want synonyms? This is how you get them. And this word cloud shows you the words that are most like it and most likely to occur with it. The bigger they are, the more significant they are. All right, and we go back here. And of course, you can switch to acute as a noun and see. Let me switch to my phone's internet. Maybe that'll. Okay. So if we turn it on again, the context. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we can.
Yeah. So something that I find with my students is that they tend to be very intimidated by these tools. They think they are too complex. So far, how are you guys feeling? Huh? Did they seem complex?
It's not hard.
The thing with these tools is that you have to work just as hard as they work. There's no, like I said before, there's no easy way. Okay? But they help a lot. They help immensely. If you are determined to learn, if you are determined to write, then these types of tools really, really help. So if we go back to the sketch and we want to look at acute as a noun, does it occur as often? Remember, we said acute occurred 14 times per million. Is it as often? No, as you can see, when we switch to acute as a noun, we don't get anything.
Apparently not.
Yeah. Let's switch, see if they have. That's the only thing that they have for acute as a noun. So then, would you use acute as a noun based on this?
No.
I would.
No.
Yes, you'd always use it as an adjective. Remember, this is software. It doesn't speak English. It wasn't a teacher who put this. This is actual usage. These are algorithms that tell you that acute does occur where nouns occur. Okay? So it's just mining, text mining, and seeing how it occurs. Okay, so we looked at Scalp Engine. Now, this is my favorite, my personal favorite, COCA. Okay, COCA, the English corpora were developed by Mark Davies in Utah at Brigham Young. And he has a lot of corpora to look at. He also has one on coronavirus corpus. We'll go back to it if we have time at the end. But if the one that I use most frequently is the Corpus of Contemporary American English. Now, with the Corpus of Contemporary American English, you can do a lot of things. So one thing that recently came up is I was correcting sentences that my students produced, and I came across a student writing Arabic culture. Okay, and I would understand that why she'd write Arabic culture, but it sounded off to me. So I went to the corpus, because if you think about it, Arab is a noun, right? And Arabic is a language. But is it the adjective? How are we? Do we say Arabic culture or do we say Arab culture? What do you guys think?
Arabic culture.
Arabic.
Arabic culture.
With IC.
Culture.
Okay, so let's let the software tell us. Okay. So if we look at Arab, and then I will add a wildcard. You can see here that I've already done this before. So the wildcard tells the software that I don't know. What is it? ING, is it ED? Any type of suffix that you have, just try it out. Let me know. Which one occurs with culture? And I click. So tell me, is it Arabic culture or Arab culture?
Arab culture.
Both of them.
So
Arab culture.
frequency. Remember when we looked at Steven Pinker and he said we watched him and he said it's convention. It's what people do. So if people keep doing Arab culture rather than Arabic culture, just fall in line and say the same thing. Maybe later on, if you get established as a writer, you can be creative and unique and write in your own style. But right now, as students, you'd write Arab culture. So it doesn't sound off. Got it?
But doctor, what's the correct Arabic or Arab now?
Right now, I'd say Arab culture. Regardless of what any prescriptive dictionary tells you, or maybe old school teacher tells you, based on the data, anybody who speaks English would be more comfortable with Arab culture.
Yes, of
Teacher.
course, but our subject still but adjective, which is Arabic.
Well, if you're studying for an exam, just stick to what the teacher says. But if you're writing in general, right? If you're writing for a journal, if you're writing for, if you're presenting at a conference, use Arab culture. So
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes.
Why?
Go ahead.
Why Arab, not Arabic? What's the reason?
See, exactly. See, now it's coming out. Now I can see. This is what I get from my students. This is what I've been saying from the beginning. It's convention. Do you know what convention means?
No.
Convention means what's accepted. What everybody agrees on. Okay?
Yes, I agree.
So
The best.
everybody using English agrees that Arab culture sounds better. It's dynamic. Like, do you have anything that tells you how to write an email in Arabic? Let's talk about Arabic. Does anybody ever show you how to write an email? But you instinctively know that you would start with Assalamu alaikum, and then Dr. Fulan, Arju, and whatever, right? How do you know that's how you start an email?
Naturally.
You got from the library that told you this is how you write an email in Arabic?
No.
No. From our
You know this is how you do it, right? Because everybody does it that way. We all agree that that is the way to write an email. We all agree as human beings, as a community of Arabic speakers, we agree that that is the way to write an email. English speakers agree that it sounds better to say Arab culture rather than Arabic culture. That's what we mean by convention.
Yeah, miss, يعني that mean the suffix or prefix we use it for what you hear better.
No. What I
Like
want you to understand is that you use these tools to inform you. I don't want you to go out on your own and say, "Oh,
yeah, for sure."
yeah."
But
Have to
sometimes you confuse.
research on tools like this. So you would go to the academic phrase bank. You would go to the academic collocation list. You check on Scalp, and you look at the Corpus, and I'll show you some others as well. But what the thing about this corpus is that you can look at anything. It has a lot of power. So let's look at this. Okay, let's look at Arab culture first. So if I click on Arab culture, I will get the context. Now, what am I going to get? I'm also going to see where does it occur. What do you think this stands for? Yeah. Do you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's not very clear.
Yes. Fuck.
Yes. It's not clear. It stands for spoken English.
No,
It's very clear.
Is this better?
it is.
Yes.
Okay. So if you look here, we have all 173 times that Arab culture occurred. We have where they occurred. Okay. Over here, I can see that this is from 2019. It's spoken English, but it's not just any spoken English. It occurred on NPR, a very respected channel. Okay. In the United States, it's like saying I don't know what's very BBC العربية, right? Or قناة العربية. Do they just talk in any way? No, they speak very Fusha Arabic, right? So NPR is like that. And then Arab culture, where does it occur as well? What do you think this stands for?
Academic?
Academic.
Very good. So you have academic, and then you do have some magazines. But again, if you look at the magazines, you have New York Times, you have Newsweek. They're all highly respected places, and they use Arab culture. They don't use Arabic culture. Let's go back to the frequency and look where does Arabic culture. I didn't look at this myself, okay? So you can see here, where does it occur the most?
Website. Web.
Yes, websites. Mostly websites. Okay. There are some occurrences, but I mean, if we want to get down to it and look, you'll see first of all, the academic papers that we looked at were from 2019. These academic papers, when are they from?
10 years ago.
20 years ago. You were born
20,
after
yes.
these usages, right? So
It's
Arabic
old.
culture, yeah, it doesn't only occur less, it's older. Currently, people prefer by number Arab culture and by context. Where Arab culture occurs is much more highly respected than where Arabic culture occurs. Understood?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What if I'm describing a person? Do I say he's an Arabic or he's an Arab?
You'd say an Arab. This I don't even have to look, but if you want, we can look. Here we go. You don't even have Arabic person.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
How can we use this website?
Like I showed you. You just go here, see this website here? It's a very short name, it's not that long.
Okay.
And you put whatever you need to look at here. There are help files that you can look at, and we're not done. We still have a lot to look at. I just want to show you things like let's say Let's say shall. Okay, if we go back and I want to look at shall as a chart, I want to see where does shall occur. Because sometimes I have students who insist on using shall. And I keep telling them that shall is no longer used. Right? Now you can see here that the boxes tend to be very small. What does that tell you?
Not common.
It's not common. It's not common. What's the alternative for shall? What do you say?
Will.
Should.
Will, I shall, I will.
Should. I think should we, shall we?
Shall we, should we? Okay, let's look at should as well. Here, just a second. Much more frequent. And if we looked at will the same way. Now, if you go back and look at all the corpora, you even have a corpus of historical American English where you can go and check shall and see how it occurs across history. Okay?
When you use Arabic with language, we didn't say Arab language. We do say Arabic. So
yes, that's true. You just say Arabic. You don't say Arabic language.
So
you could
say Arabic with language, and when you would like to say culture, we use Arab.
What is another way of saying Arab culture? There is no other way. You have, if you refer to culture, you have to specify what kind of culture it is. So even if I were saying American, I mean, language is something that every language has its own specific name, right? So you could say Arabic, you could say Chinese, you could say, not even Chinese, people say Chinese, but usually people who don't really know, you'd say Mandarin, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Culture, you need to specify what kind of culture that you're referring to. So if I chart it, I can see in a chart.
Can I ask you?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. What do you have to say? Okay, while she asks her question or gets her mic fixed, I want to show you here. So you can see from what year is that?
So can I use Arabian?
Arabian, we can try that. But like I said, I showed you earlier, I put an asterisk, which is kind of like a wild card. So if Arabian did occur, then it would have shown.
Yeah, like Saudi Arabian and Saudis and Saudi Arabians.
You wanna try that? You wanna compare it?
Yes, please.
Okay. You're really into the identity terms. Okay. But let me just show you, I just want to show you shall before I go back and look at Saudi Arabian. So if you look over here, what year is this?
1810.
Yes.
18.
So more than a century ago, more than 100 years ago, shall was much more common, right? You see how less and less and less it's being used up until 1990. So let's go back. You want to look at...
Doctor.
Yes.
Shall in academic or informal language?
Neither. It's outdated. Do not use. You should always put next to it, do not use. Unless you want to sound, I don't know, like you came out of a time machine or something.
But we use it in speaking, right?
No.
Shall I? Like, shall I go or shall I?
You wear a bow tie. There's a nursery rhyme with shall, but I don't remember it. But no, you don't. Okay?
Sorry, miss.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it clear for me because I misunderstand something. Arabic culture and Arab culture.
Mm.
Both of them are right.
Yes, it seems to be yes. Both of them are right.
And
But
this, okay.
if you want to sound like you're in the know, like you have read widely, like everybody else is writing and speaking, then you would use Arab culture.
Something more common.
Yes.
Okay,
But
used a lot.
what I'm saying is that right now you would not be taking this course and you would not be looking for free online academic tools and things like that unless you felt unsure in your English. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And I can't blame you. I feel unsure in my English, right? Everybody does. Even native speakers sometimes feel unsure. So you want to get in with the crowd. You're not sure how this is used. You look it up in a dictionary. Sometimes it's in a dictionary, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's in a dictionary, but that dictionary is outdated. It's prescriptive. It's not how people sound. It's like when you have someone coming in from an Islamic country that doesn't speak Arabic as a first language, like Indonesia or Pakistan, and they've learned Arabic in a Quran school. What kind of Arabic do they learn? They learn a very prescriptive Arabic. If you rely on old grammar books and old dictionaries, that's how you will sound in English. You would sound off. When you submit your abstract to a conference, when you submit your article to a journal, they will be put off, not necessarily rejected, okay, but it will put them off and distract away from your ideas, that you don't speak the language, that you're not writing in the conventional use of the language, how they write. Okay?
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay,
What's the
that's clear.
best dictionary in your opinion?
That's a really good question. I didn't think of that, but I highly recommend Longman. Longman and Collins Dictionary, they're both very good, and they are based on software like this.
Okay, thank you very much.
They use are based on this. Okay?
Oxford Dictionary, not good or good?
It's good, but the thing is, when I tell my students, okay, use Oxford Dictionary, what do? I find that they're using this old Oxford Dictionary that their father used to use or their older brother used to use 10 years ago, right? Is it still applicable today?
No.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
There is some dictionary, it will be good for anybody who didn't speak English very well. It's an Oxford Dictionary with a picture. If you cannot understand the word, you can get it or understand it from the picture. It's always from Arabic and English.
That's very basic. What talking about, even Longman has a special learner English dictionary. But if you look at Longman, you will see, if we look up any word in Longman, what can we look up? Let's look up acute again, like we did with on Scalp. So you have acute here, and you can see that it's an adjective, right? Now this is a human being telling you it's an adjective. Someone wrote this, but what the thing that you can see as well is that it can be a noun, but in order to be a noun, you would need ness. This is something, again, a human did. However, what does this say?
Examples from the corpus.
Now, if you go to some other dictionaries, you will not get this. You will get like this, made up. I would understand you need the meaning by a linguist, so a person who has studied English and tells you what the meaning is. However, you don't want someone to make up sentences. You want to see how it's written. How do they use it really in English? So examples from a corpus, it means that they use something like this. Do you understand? That these are actual uses of acute.
Miss, I wanna
using software, yes?
I wanna ask the website before the long man you shared with us. It's just for the word part of speech.
No. You can look up a whole bunch of things, and I want to show you right now. Like, for example, if I want to something that my students always confuse, imply and infer. Okay, now in order to clarify what imply and infer, I want you to look at the subject of imply and infer. To do that, I would click first compare. Do you see? Compare.
Yeah.
And then I would put my first word is imply and my second word is infer. Now here collocates are words that the algorithm shows that they occur together. Okay, here is the word. This is, if they're looking at imply, this was where, okay? So how many words before imply do you want to look? How many words before, after imply do you want to look? I want to see the subject. Now, can you tell me what is the difference between imply and infer? Who could tell me?
I cannot tell. Yeah, I think imply was the what the writing or what the speaker they want to say from the line or from the talk.
Yes.
And unfair, I think that's what I think and what I am understand. Unfair, that what the reader and the listening, what they understand from the speaker.
Excellent, excellent. What's your name?
Al-Jawhara.
Al-Jawhara, excellent. Do you know that even native speakers of English have problems with imply and infer? Excellent, Al-Jawhara. Very good. So
thank you.
Let's say Al-Jawhara wasn't here, okay? And you wanted to know what is the difference. So you could look here and who implies and who infers. What does that mean? So I'll go over here and I'll choose a part of speech. Here you have the general part of speech is all, and then you have all these other types of parts of speech. You can go negative, preposition, pronoun. You can even specify what kind of pronoun. Do you want it personal? Do you want a WH pronoun? Do you want indefinite? But we just want to see what occurs before, okay? And let's compare. Okay, it's taking its sweet time, but I don't want to waste too much time because I have so much to show you. Another thing that you could do while we wait for it to work, yes, here it is. So what do we find, What is more common, imply or infer?
Imply.
Imply is more common. Very good. Not only from the size of the words that co-occur, because we're going to go back and play with it. This isn't acceptable. I don't believe that infer only occurs this often. So I'm going to play with it. But what implies? The findings imply, the terms imply, the names imply, not a person, right? Now, if we go back and we just say, forget it, we don't want a part of speech. Let's see what we get. What do we get now?
Infer is more common.
Imply is still more common. It's still more common. The numbers haven't changed up here. They haven't changed. But we get more things to look at. And which one of these agency, which group is people and which is things?
Infer is the people.
Yes.
Imply.
Yeah. So you get audience, the audience infers, astronomers infer. Now, if I go back and I say, oh, maybe I just too many words. Maybe if I just use one, what do I get? I want just the direct word that comes right before it. You can see that these are adverbs. Adverbs that are usually used with people. Safely infer, reasonably infer. Can a thing reasonably infer? Of course not, right? But here imply is used with things that you use to communicate your results, your findings, right? And then you have all these adverbs. You can see reasonably and safely here, but more common you'd get strongly and clearly with imply. So doesn't it clarify how they use it? Now, if you go over here and you want to see the examples in context, you can see. And you can look over here and you can see where. And also, you could just add this sign before it, and you would get a list of synonyms. And let's say, sometimes you have from here, which of these synonyms of imply is the most common?
Mean.
Mean. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So let's a word on the tongue, and you know it means this. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. So you go over to the coca and you check, and then you find, okay, it's imply, not imply. Then suggest, it's not suggest. I'll click on that. You get more. I'll click on hint. You get more synonyms. Got it?
Yes.
Got it.
All right. Now, let's look at the word denote. I want to point out that I wanted the 2-hour workshop, but all right. So denote. First of all, I want to chart it. I want you to see, where does denote occur?
Academic.
Yes. And if I click on academic, where does denote occur in academic English? What kind of academic English?
Business academy.
Science, business, technology.
See how fun it is? Isn't it fun? Much more fun than a dictionary. But don't lose yourself in it and waste time instead of writing. Okay? And then let's say, okay, so it does occur in medicine. I want to see how it occurs in medicine. Should work. Yes. So here it is in medicine. All these lovely sentences that show you how it occurs. All right. Now, let's say you have some writing of yours. You already have an essay. Okay, and here there's some wonderful help files that there's also 2 really good videos to show you how to use it. But I don't want to rush through this. This is something that one of my students wrote. Okay, I removed her name, but what you can do with your own writing is that you could put it in here. Remember, through this. Do you see here? You go to the Corpus of Contemporary American English. You go to COCA. You click on this that looks like a paper. And you search. Here you will see a table that tells you how many times did you use dehydration, how many times did you use the, and so on and so forth. It will bunch up all the words that you use. It will tell you that these words are low frequency in general. They don't occur a lot in English, according to the website. Okay, these words, of course, occur a lot. And, you know, a, by, hand, with, of course they occur a lot. They're prepositions and grammatical words. Then you can click on any of these words. Notice here that you have word and you have phrase. If you click on word, if you keep it the blue on word, you click on any of these words, pick a word. So let's say that's morbid. Too late. I clicked on imbalance. You guys are too slow. Anyway, so you look at imbalance, you get all this rich information about imbalance. You get where it occurs. This is your own writing. Your own writing. You don't have to go and enter each word on its own. Okay? So imbalance, you can see that it occurs in academia the most. You can see that usually the topic where it occurs, the articles, the papers, these are the topics that it occurs in. Okay? What does it collocate with? A power imbalance, a trade imbalance, a gender imbalance. What verbs occur with it? You cause an imbalance or create an imbalance or you correct an imbalance. What are its adjectives? You can say chemical imbalance, hormonal imbalance, okay? And these are the adverbs. You want synonyms. You're writing and you want synonyms. Okay, so here you have synonyms. And then also you can see which adjectives and which prepositions do you use with it. Remember, just like in Scalp.
Movies were international.
Turn off the lights. And have here examples of where imbalance occurs. Real life samples of imbalance. Now, if you go back and you pick phrase here, you would pick something, let's say, pick any phrase here. Let's say lose fluids. So if I submit lose fluids and I find that it only occurs 2 times, does that make me comfortable using it?
Doctor, please, Saud Saleh Mطيري, I think your mic is open by mistake.
جالس يذاكر ومشغل عشان شهادة الحضور. Okay. Fluid. Lose fluids. Would you use lose fluids?
I wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't, right? And you try to figure out a way to use it. So, I want to show you here. If you look at lose fluids, and I tried this before, you can see that it occurs only 1,000 times. Now, I myself would use fluid loss. Okay, it would lead to fluid loss, dehydration. Of course, is fluid loss. So, the count. This is another website. Now, if I click, yes.
Much more frequent.
Yes, much more frequent. And if I click on examples here, the plus sign, I get samples of how it occurs. Okay. This is another website. The other website that I wanted you to look at is Voyant, and this is also really good if you were to analyze your text. I'm going to have to let you go, but before I let you go, I just want to point out something. So you can see here that I actually opened these, and I did something with them, and I wanted to show you what I did, but we don't have enough time. But do you all know how to get your reference when you're writing? You know about the quotation marks in Google Scholar?
Yes, but could you please write these websites on the general chat?
Yeah, show us the website. Yeah, we can take a picture. Yeah.
I have it. I have all the websites. I will send it to the batch group, batch 19.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And just before I let you go, I just want to point out that really writing, native speaker, non-native speaker, good at English, bad at English, it's hard work. You need to get your hands dirty. Okay? Don't be discouraged. There's no such thing as writing easily. Okay? You need drive, discipline, and desire to write. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you've published hundreds of books. You still have to sit down and do it. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
This presentation, it's recorded. Can I see?
Yeah, I think Miss Ala, they're going to have a YouTube video of it.
I think is recording now.
Yeah, it is recording. Yes, it is. See, we can see right here. It's recording. I'll cut off this part though.
You will find it in the learning skills in the chat. You'll find it.
And if you like, maybe later on we can develop a more extensive workshop that shows you how to use these tools. And there are other tools that I really wanted to show you. There's also this thing that I wanted to show you, that just so that you know that even native speakers see, where's this scholar from? Oxford University. And this is what they give out to their students. They teach them how to use a corpus as a resource for writing. And this is old. This is not new. They teach them how to do it. How to use their own, let's say, what I wanted to show you is like if you were, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that if let's say you were going to write about a specific thing, right? Like a specific topic, any topic, any very specific topic, let's say a study about or a survey gathered on under a very specific topic, okay? And you have your own references, and these are highly respected papers. What you can do is you can actually take these papers and create your own corpus so that you can write like them. Or maybe you have a conference that you want to submit to, and you don't know how they write their abstracts. There are ways to create your own corpus of abstracts from that conference. So you want to submit to the conference in 2021, you get all the abstracts from 2020, which is something that's available on their website. And you take them and you create your own corpus. You can use, I personally use AntConc, this one here. But for people who don't want to get too into it, they can use this website. You upload them as a text file, and you look at the phrases that they use, and you emulate. You try to write like them. You act like them until you are like them. Do you understand? If we ever have another workshop, I can show you how to do it.
Yes, miss.
Right.
I know the time is not, there is no more time, but I have only one question. It's not gonna take too long time. I have a paragraph and I finish it, and I know my doctor want to check it if it's taken from another website or something like that. How can I know? How can I know it's taken from anything? If I want to check it before I.
First of all, don't take it from anything. If it's your original work, you shouldn't be worried at all. First of all, so if you didn't actually copy or overly paraphrase, then you shouldn't be worried, period. But if you want to check, there are free plagiarism software, including Grammarly. Grammarly is pretty good. Okay, Grammarly has its own plagiarism check, and it isn't that bad. The ones that they use at the university are Turnitin and SafeAssign, both of which are not free. You can try them, but maybe they have a trial period. But really, if you use Grammarly or any plagiarism software, it should be fine.
Okay, miss. It's a question. Just I want to take advice from you.
Yeah.
It's better if how can I practice for writing to make my level more high? Also, there is some website or some apps to iWriting and give me the feedback as a person or as a human, not as a مرد آلي يعني.
The first thing, the best way how to learn how to write is to read. And really, not necessarily just read English, you can read even Arabic. There's something magical about reading that reorganizes your mind in a way that you can communicate ideas through writing. But first you have to read. So just read. And again, you don't only have to read English, you can also read Arabic. And you don't only have to read within your field. Even reading novels, it's very neurological. We don't really understand how it changes the brain, but it does change your brain in a way that makes writing come more naturally to you. It's easier to do something if you see a person doing it a lot before you, right? If you see what others are doing. It's kind of like dancing, right? If you watch a lot of people dancing, you can do the moves. You watch the same dance over and over again.
Yeah, I see. Or I listening from يعني more than one person said for me reading it will be يعني like magical things you look for yourselves improve. But I don't know why I cannot يعني believe it's really يعني تغير improve my skills more.
Yes, and again, you don't have to read English. Even reading Arabic will improve your English writing. And you don't only have to read medical. You can read novels. Read anything that interests you. Read for your own enjoyment, and then your enjoyment will expand to incorporate other things. You see that yourself. When you, as a child, you only liked cartoons. And then your interests expanded and expanded and expanded, and now you're watching documentaries, right? It's the same thing.
Miss, I have a question.
But before I answer, I just want to add a person you have to pay, and the other thing is that besides having to pay, it's a form of plagiarism, really. If you give someone else to write something for you, if it's just for revision, yes, go for it. And you can afford it, go ahead. I don't. Some teachers would consider it cheating. I don't consider it cheating. But as long as you wrote the bulk of what was written, and the other person is just for support. But it's always better to just do your own writing. Rafal?
Yes, Miss, I have a question. How can I write a good title for my paragraph?
A good title for your paragraph.
Yes.
Well, first of all, one thing that I noticed that some people do is that they try to draw too much attention to their paragraph or their essay with the title. You don't want to be too cutesy or mysterious with your title. Anybody who's reading your title should be able to know what your topic is. So if, like, for example, this paper that I showed you, this student who wrote cholera. That's not a good title. That's not a good title. What I want to see, so it's not very long. What is it? Huh? It's
attractive.
Definition of cholera. So she should have written the definition.
Or what is?
I tend to discourage rhetorical questions. I don't like what or who in a title. In academic English, it's not nice to have rhetorical questions. It's just like the cutesy thing. Don't be cutesy in writing. Just be informative. Informative, simple, and direct.
Okay. Do
Teacher,
you
what
know
about
any website that has academic articles that we can read from, and articles or essays?
Yeah.
Do you know any websites that has?
Yeah, I do. I can't remember the name of the website, but I do.
Maybe it's British Council. There's give some skills like reading, also writing, speaking, and I think yeah, these three skills. Yeah, there is also there included academic paragraph.
Yeah, and this I haven't visited in a while, but this is the Michigan Corpus, and let's see, where is it? Yes. So here we have yes. So you have my case, the Michigan Corpus of Academic Spoken English, and then you have upper level student papers. The upper level student papers are students who got, and these are their essays, but I just want to point out that they are picked up by plagiarism software. So you can look at these words, you can pick a word, type it in, look at it, and see where it occurs in the corpus, and what type of papers there are. You have argumentative essays, creative writing, critique, and then you have the disciplines. There's no medicine, but there is nursing, and there's what else?
No,
Biology.
Like for example, I want to see process paragraphs.
Here
So
they-
I'm studying process paragraphs, so I want to read process paragraphs.
Here they don't have a process paragraph, but they do have these different rhetorical
Titles.
So they have an abstracts, they have definitions, they have discussion of results. Now I want you to note that these are all students who you have some who are graduate and you have some who are undergraduate, but they are all A students, and they are both native and non-native English speakers. Okay. Now, process, no, but the other, there probably is, but I can't think of one right now. But in this corpus, you can see research papers. You can see how they introduce their tables and graphs. You can see their references. You could check the methodology section if you want to look at methodology. So if you want to look at process, so maybe methodology would be, and you can see that methodology occurs 67% in research papers. And I believe if you click here, you can see the paper itself. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Miss, don't
Yeah?
mind the question.
Yes, go ahead.
Miss, you've told us previously in this workshop that you try to depend on modern or new dictionaries would help you learn new words.
Yeah.
Or
Not
modern words.
modern.
You said.
Not modern. Longman is an old dictionary, but what I'm saying is that use dictionaries that base their data is based. Most dictionaries currently do, but that base their definitions and their usage on corpus, on a corpora. So if don't use an old dictionary from the shelf from your brother or your sister 5 years ago. Don't do that. Go online and, like I said before, use Longman.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, my question is, sometimes some people read, for example, Shakespeare novels,
Yes.
and it depend on classic English, as we can call it.
Yeah.
So would this be beneficial and would improve me in writing and reading, or it's just a waste of time?
No, it is extremely beneficial. It'll improve your reading and your writing. It is very difficult. I would never read Shakespeare for pleasure at all. I have my own favorite books and favorite authors. Shakespeare is definitely not one of them. But you have to understand what I'm talking about today is completely different from that. What I'm talking about today is that you understand how the community speaks so that you can speak like them and belong. Once you belong, you can do your own thing. You can be creative. But first of all, right now, you don't belong. And in order to belong, you have to speak the language. How do you speak the language? By using these types of tools. They tell you, no, don't use this preposition with this noun. You need to use that preposition with this noun. You can't use this adjective. You have to use that adjective. This phrase, like lose fluid, is not commonly used. Use fluid loss. Understood?
Yeah, understood. Thank you so much. And I would thank you for this beneficial workshop, Doctor. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we went over the time by a lot. I will let you go. Thank you so much. And you have the list, and maybe inshallah we'll do another one soon where I can show you how you can create your own very specific corpus. All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you
so much
so
for your time. Please